Monopoly. So firstly, we should know the meaning of monopoly. Monopoly exists when a specific individual or an enterprise has sufficient control over a particular product or service to determine significantly the terms on which other individuals shall have access to it. This is in contrast to a monopsony, which relates to a single entity's control over a market to purchase a good or service, and contrasted with oligopoly, where a few entities exert considerable influence over an industry. The verb monopolize refers to the process by which a firm gains persistently greater market share than what is expected under perfect competition. There are many reasons why it occurs. Few of them are mentioned below. When a businessman acquires resources for a product which other fellow people can't get. When one gets skilled enough such that others can't touch his level of skill for that service. The product gives excellent utilities and is most user-friendly. Maybe the product or service is newly invented and hence the technology available reserved with that supplier. A violation to above definition of monopoly can be when there are enough competitors but the service provided by this monopolist is unique in every sense to satisfy customers' needs. Monopolies are thus characterized by single seller, large number of buyers, price discrimination, limited supply, lack of economic competition for the good or service that they provide, a lack of viable substitute goods. From the above discussion, it follows that for monopoly to exist, following conditions are essential. One and only one firm produces and sells a particular commodity or a service. There are no rivals or direct competitors of the firm. No other seller can enter the market for whatever reasons, legal, technical, or economic. Monopolist is a price maker. He tries to take the best of whatever demand and cost conditions exist without the fear of new firms entering to compete away his profits. After studying this lesson, you should be able to analyze the monopoly equilibrium, analyze the features of monopoly or monopolist, analyze the short-run and long-run equilibrium, differentiate between monopoly and perfect competition, understand the concept of price discrimination under monopoly, determine the monopoly power. Now we can discuss equilibrium conditions in market of monopoly. The equilibrium of a profit maximizing monopolist will occur at the point where MR equals MC and MC curve cuts MR curve from below. We can see the diagram to understand the situation and condition of equilibrium. Equilibrium condition can further be classified as short-run equilibrium and long-run equilibrium. In the short run, a monopolist has to work with a given existing plant. He can expand or contract output by varying the amount of variable factors, but working within a given existing plant. Maximization of profits in the short run requires the fixation of output at a level at which marginal cost with a given existing plant is equal to marginal revenue. In the long run, the monopolist has the time to expand his plant or to intensively use his existing plant, which will maximize his profits. Since there will be no new entry, it is not necessary for the monopolist to reach an optimal scale. It means that monopolist will not stay in business if he makes losses in the long run. The size of his plant and the degree of utilization of any given plant size depends entirely on the market demand. He may reach the minimum point of LAC or remain at falling apart of his LAC and expand beyond the minimum LAC depending on the market conditions. We can take a quick view by watching this diagram for long-run equilibrium. Now let's discuss difference between monopoly and perfect competition. In monopoly, there is a single seller and a large number of buyers, but in perfect competition, large number of sellers and buyers are present. In perfect competition, variation in output has no effect on price, and thus marginal revenue is equal to price, but in monopoly, monopolist wants to sell more. He must reduce price, and therefore MR is less than P for every output level. In monopoly, price discrimination is possible but can't be used in perfect competition. In monopoly, any shape of MC curve is possible since demand curve is not horizontal, but in perfect competition, marginal cost curve must be strictly upward sloping. In monopoly, in the long run, we can get supernormal profits, but in perfect competition, we have to satisfy ourselves only with normal profits, as entry and exit of firms eliminates all super profit. Monopolies are also likely to be inefficient and slow to introduce technological change. Pure competition forces each firm to be either efficient or perish. Monopoly price is higher than competitive price. Monopoly output is lower than competitive output. Thus we can say that both market conditions are far different from each other. After this discussion comes price discrimination. Price discrimination or price differentiation exists when sales of identical goods or services are transacted at different prices from the same provider. Price discrimination requires market segmentation and some means to discourage discount customers from becoming resellers and by extension competitors. This usually entails using one or more means of preventing any resale, keeping the different price groups separate, making price comparisons difficult, or restricting pricing information. Various types of price discrimination include first-degree price discrimination, second-degree price discrimination, third-degree price discrimination, combination. First-degree price discrimination occurs when the firm is able to charge each customer the maximum price he or she is prepared to pay for the good or service. It is assumed that the firm has very detailed knowledge of its consumers' demand curves. The seller will sell each unit of output depending upon the customer's demand curve. Stallholders in a foreign market will attempt to do this when they haggle with their customers. Elements of first-degree price discrimination can also be found at a Dutch auction, such as the flowers market in Amsterdam. In a Dutch auction, the price starts very high and gradually falls until the first bidder bids and takes the good or service. This means that the price paid is going to be very close to the maximum price the consumer is willing to pay, thereby allowing the producer to extract as much consumer surplus as it possibly can. This differs from a normal English auction where a consumer may win with a bid that was far below what they were prepared to pay for it. Perfect price discrimination occurs when the producer is able to charge every consumer the price he is willing to pay. In this case, the consumer surplus will be equal to zero. This is shown in the first diagram here. Second-degree price discrimination occurs when a firm is trying to sell off any excess capacity it has remaining at a lower price than the normal published price. This is often done in the airlines and hotel industries where spare seats and rooms are sold at the last minute at greatly reduced prices. In these industries, fixed costs will typically be very large and marginal costs will be relatively small and constant. For example, the cost of having an extra person on an aeroplane or in a hotel is very small. The product can be provided at a constant marginal cost until a rigid fixed capacity is reached. This means that the marginal cost curve will be horizontal up to the point where full capacity is reached, where it becomes vertical. Second-degree price discrimination can be shown through the second diagram on the screen. The firm will initially charge the profit-maximizing price of P1 and producing quantity Q1. The firm will have a large amount of spare capacity. This is equal to the difference between Q1 and full capacity. The firm will be willing to sell this volume for any price so long as it covers the marginal cost of producing them, as it will be the contributing to its fixed costs or profits. This will occur at the lower price of P2 and increase total consumer surplus by XYZ. The firm will also benefit as there is no point in having empty rooms or seats. A hotel must remain open and a plane must fly, even if there are only a few paying customers. Examples of second-degree price discrimination can be seen in any market where excess capacity needs to be eliminated. Examples are the traditional end-of-season sale, reduced prices for cinema and theatre in the afternoons, last-minute bargain holidays. Third-degree price discrimination occurs if a seller charges different prices to two or more different buying groups with different demand elasticities. These groups can be then differentiated based on characteristics such as age, location, or sex. Examples of third-degree price discrimination abound throughout the economy. The plethora of children and senior citizen discounts offers a large contingent of examples. Families with small children tend to have lower demand elasticities for goods such as eating at restaurants and staying at hotels than others. In combination, the mixture of any of the above can be used. Now the last topic for discussion is monopoly power. Monopoly power is the ability to affect the terms and conditions of exchange so that the price of the product is set by the firm. Price is not imposed by the market as in perfect competition. Although a monopoly's market power is high, it is still limited by the demand side of the market. A monopoly faces a negatively sloped demand curve, not a perfectly inelastic curve. Consequently, any price increase will result in the loss of some customers. Various sources of monopoly power are economic barriers. Economic barriers include economies of scale, capital requirements, cost advantages, and technological superiority. Economies of scale. Monopolies are characterized by declining costs over a relatively large range of production. Declining costs coupled with large startup costs give monopolies an advantage over would-be competitors. Monopolies are often in a position to cut prices below new entrants' operating costs and drive them out of the industry. Further, the size of the industry relative to the minimum efficient scale may limit the number of firms that can effectively compete within the industry. If, for example, the industry is large enough to support one firm of minimum efficient scale, then other firms entering the industry will operate at a size that is less than MES, meaning that these firms cannot produce at an average cost that is competitive with the dominant industry. Capital requirements. Production processes that require large investments of capital or large research and development costs or substantial sunk costs limit the number of firms in an industry. Large fixed costs also make it difficult for a small firm to enter an industry and expand. Technological superiority. A monopoly may be better able to acquire, integrate, and use the best possible technology in producing its goods, while entrants do not have the size or fiscal muscle to use the best available technology. In plain English, one large firm can sometimes produce goods cheaper than several small firms. No substitute goods. A monopoly sells a good for which there is no close substitute. The absence of substitute makes the demand for the goods relatively inelastic, enabling monopolies to extract positive profits. Control of natural resources. A prime source of monopoly power is the control of resources that are critical to the production of a final good. Legal barriers. Legal rights can provide opportunity to monopolize the market in a good. Intellectual property rights, including patents and the copyrights, give a monopolist exclusive control over the production and selling of certain goods. Property rights may give a firm the exclusive control over the materials necessary to produce a good. Deliberate actions. A firm wanting to monopolize a market may engage in various types of deliberate action to exclude competitors or eliminate competition. Such actions include collusion, lobbying government authorities, and force. Now let us check if we have understood the various concepts discussed in this lesson clearly. A very short period in which the supply is fixed, that is, no adjustment can take place in supply conditions. Right or wrong? Right. Monopoly consists of large number of buyers and sellers. Right or wrong? Wrong. In monopoly, MR is less the price. Right or wrong? Right. In first degree price discrimination, price varies according to quantity sold. Right or wrong? Wrong. Let's revise the whole concept. In the case of monopoly, one firm constitutes the whole industry. There must be a single producer or seller of a product, and the product has no close substitute. In the short run, the monopolist maximizes his short-run profits or minimizes his short-run losses if the following two conditions are satisfied. 1. MC equals MR. 2. The slope of MC is greater than the slope of MR at the point of their intersection. In the long run, the monopolist has the time to expand his plant or to intensively use his existing plant, which will maximize his profits. A seller indulges in price discrimination when he sells the same product at different prices to different buyers. A monopolist firm sells a single product in two different markets, different prices on the basis of their different elasticities of demand for that product. Dumping is a special case when the firm is a monopolistic in the domestic market but faces perfect competition in the world market.